Hey everyone, welcome to the Powered by Iron Health podcast, where we are here to create a community that raises the standard of health and wellness. Today we have Christine with us. What's up?
How you doing?
Christine's going to be our acupuncture in Peekskill. So we're going to dive into her story and talk about acupuncture and really see where it goes from there. And she just broke her arm. Why don't we start with that story? So acupuncture at the moment is on a little bit of a hold.
A little hold, yeah.
But it's a good story. What happened?
So we had a celebration at our colony, the 100th anniversary, and they played games all day. And so we had the raw egg toss. And as the eggs got further and further back, I was not going to have that egg break. So I caught the egg, but I went down on my wrist. And so now we've got a little rehab to do. So good thing I come to physical therapy every week.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, hopefully it's not too bad, right?
No.
Yeah, and I was thinking, one of my life values is like courageous, solution-driven ownership. And like you did that by trying to get the egg and really making sure you caught it.
Yes.
Did you guys win at least?
Well, I considered that winning. The dive was pretty impressive.
Okay.
So, yeah, I wish we had filmed it.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing.
Like slow-mo would have been beautiful.
That would have went viral.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't think I ever spoke to you about this, but like what got you into acupuncture? Like, let's go across your whole story.
Okay.
I don't think we've ever, like, we talk about some crazy stuff, but.
Yeah, like more modern, recent stuff.
Yeah. But let's start with that.
So I started back when as a yoga teacher, which is pretty remarkable because I'm not that flexible, but I believed in yoga and Tai Chi. And so Tai Chi is the Chinese medicine version of how to move and how to do rehabilitation and get all your joints lubricated and things. So I was doing that for a long time. That got me interested in Chinese medicine. So then I went and did massage for many years, including Chinese massage, which is called Tuina, Tuina. And from that, I was teaching exercise classes, and they were saying, you really should, like do more modalities because, you're interested in people and health and all that, and exercise is great, but what if they can't come to exercise class? So I did the massage, but then because of the Chinese medicine, I decided to go into acupuncture. I went to China in 1988 and studied massage there, and they treated us like we were doctors, because I think in China, the massage therapists are doctors. But they kept telling us about these acupuncture points, and I kept writing everything down. So I've got quite a background from that trip in terms of almost like the secrets of what they would share with, what they were able to share with us way before acupuncture school.
Really?
And then my teacher in acupuncture school was classically trained by his grandfather. That means you go back to the original books, the original approach, and we're talking about 200 BC. So they're saying acupuncture is maybe 2,500 years old. So we learned some of that the early approaches. So it's amazing what they knew way back when.
Yeah, I definitely want to dive into that, but let's backtrack. When you were going to China for massage, like why'd you do that? Like why'd you choose to go there?
Because I like Western approaches, but I felt like there was something missing. Like if someone is really stressed out and you're massaging a trigger point, let's say that's like a lump in their shoulder that really needs to break up and so they could feel less stress, why were they coming back to me the next week in the same condition? So I didn't feel like I was as effective as I wanted to be. And so according to Chinese medicine, you're moving energy around, you're affecting the brain, you're affecting the body's chemistry, you're affecting a lot more. And I just felt like the results that I was getting were lasting longer.
Why go to China though? Like you don't think you could have learned it from someone in New York?
I felt like I wanted to be where it all started.
Yeah.
And it was interesting there because we would say things about what about stress and what about mind, body. And in China, they were saying, no, it's all physical. But the modalities and the approaches they were using were not. So I guess that's somehow in their culture how it evolved, that they were saying it's all physical. They wanted to be more like us in Western medicine.
Interesting.
That was really interesting.
And that was in the massage school?
Yes.
So how long was that?
It was a 3-week we were all massage therapists already.
Okay. So you got your massage license in the States.
Yes.
And then you went there to dive deeper. Gotcha.
Yeah. Just to learn that one approach, So we worked in the hospital every day.
Okay.
And then we'd have lectures in the afternoon.
So what did you do in the hospital? Like, what did massage?
We were doing massage.
Was it medical massage?
Yes, medical massage for sure.
And
Yeah.
how's that different?
There were people who needed traction, and they were showing us how to do traction in a different way. And they actually showed us how they did massage under anesthesia
For what?
for like back pain.
Really?
Things that were really, really painful, that if the person was awake, they wouldn't have been able to do the same amount of work. So
they would put people under anesthesia just to give them massage?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. And then
I never heard of that.
You would see the x-rays afterwards, and say if the joint was displaced in the back, or even a broken bone, like if I went there now, they knew how to get the bone so aligned that you didn't need a cast, you didn't need any other treatment. And when you looked at the x-ray, the bones were completely lined up, and then it was just a matter of a few days of healing, but nothing like what we do here.
Was that mixed with chiropractic type
It was,
care?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So do they have chiropractors in China? That I'm assuming.
They call it bone setting.
Okay.
So it's a little different.
But is that a part of massage?
Yes. And they thought we were allowed to do it, and we're not allowed to do it. So,
We're not putting people under anesthesia for massage here.
No.
But there are, like with acupuncture, I know people are using acupuncture now for when they're going into surgery, right?
Yes.
Like they're putting them under with acupuncture.
Yes,
It's kinda wild.
and so they're wide awake, but they don't feel anything.
How's that work?
It's just, they use certain points, acupuncture points, that's what those points do, is they kind of break the connection between the brain and the body for a period of time, which is what anesthesia does too.
Yeah.
Like you can't remember that you even had surgery. It's pretty amazing. So the brain is quiet for a period of time.
Where would those points be? Because that's super interesting to me.
Yeah.
And it's probably, maybe it's not what you studied, but.
Yeah, no, it's more like the ears, and then the ear has a upside down map of the entire body. So if you think of where your head is, it's at the bottom of the ear, and where your legs are is at the top of the ear, and every organ is represented. So they would go to the points where they were doing the surgery, and that's where they would do.
Have you seen it done?
I've seen it done. I don't know if I would have it done.
Yeah. That's so mind blowing to me.
Yes.
Is there an aspect of hypnosis that's happening too, or no?
I don't think so. I think it really is that there are these pathways in the body that do certain things, and so if usually what I'm doing is I'm opening the pathways. I'm thinking with the anesthesia they're blocking the pathway, so you can make the energy go the opposite direction, or just not go through that area for a period of time, and then you can do your surgery and then get out of there.
How quickly do you want them to do a surgery, though?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it was simple.
Yeah,
it was something simple.
Yeah, I've heard of that story before, and it does blow my mind.
Yeah, me too.
Because then there's like a lot of we don't know, right? Like I've interviewed other acupuncturists too, and it's like, what is the premise? You're blocking energy, or you're moving energy, right?
Yes.
But if you look at that on the Eastern medicine. Right, we're Eastern.
Yes.
That's like witchcraft.
Right. So what they're now able to do, which is probably bringing a little bit more credibility to the field, is on some of these imaging machines, like functional MRIs or PET scans and things, they're able to say that the acupuncture points that I would go and find on your body, because I've been trained to do that, they're saying they can actually see what they're calling nodes, N-O-D-E-S, and that's a lot of activity in those areas. So it may not be the same exact for each acupuncture point, but there's a lot of nerve endings in the area. There's a lot of lymph and circulation in those areas. So something's going on that's really, just very active. So then the question is, well, yeah, it's active, but how do you get it to kind of conform to what you want it to do? And that's what I think over the centuries, they've assembled a long, long list of what these points do, just by working with people. I mean, billions and billions of people have had acupuncture. And if you press on a point in your wrist when you're nauseous, you're not nauseous anymore. If you press on a point in your hand and you have a headache, and you don't have a headache anymore. So that's how they, slowly but surely came to understand what these points do. But if you said in Western medicine, which is what we are, is there any truth to any of this? They actually are finding that there's a lot of activity.
Yeah. I feel like the research always lags behind, right?
Way behind in this case. I mean, 2,500. When I went to the New York Pain Society, their May meeting, one of the doctors was presenting his research about all these points next to the spine. And those are called Watteau points. We knew about those points in 200 BC. So I said, I looked around at all these doctors and I was like, you're really missing the boat. If you don't have an acupuncturist in your offices, these are all pain management doctors. If you don't include, I'm not saying to replace, but if you don't include acupuncture, you're missing something.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point. What do you personally believe? Like, how would you say acupuncture truly works? Like, what's your belief? And then what do you think for people who are very science driven and this Western medicine, like what's the definition to them?
Okay, so for me, because I'm a musician, there are these pickups on your guitar that then go to the amplifier. Those are piezoelectric pickups. And I understood that mechanism way before I knew anything about acupuncture. And it's that if you put the pressure of the sound waves of the strings, the pressure, physical pressure, goes into the pickup, and then that gets translated to the amplifier. And so then the sound comes out the other end. In Chinese medicine, when you press on a point, an acupuncture point, when you put a needle in an acupuncture point, you're activating our piezoelectric system, which is your connective tissue. It's the thing that connects everything to everything else. It's right under the skin, probably goes down maybe a half inch at tops. So if you press, then that sends messages to faraway places by way of magnetic electricity. So that's what I believe in, just because I had that experience with music. I know when I play a note that nothing's touching that pickup. It's the sound waves are touching, it's the pressure from the sound waves. So in terms of what Western medicine believes about acupuncture, I think they don't care. I think they just think that it works, and that if it's helping you, go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
But they're not, like a Western doctor wouldn't try to explain. They do believe in mind-body now. They're more talking about placebo effects being a positive thing. And that it's not, nobody's trying to trick anybody else. It's like, why don't we engage the mind to help heal the body?
Yeah, if it makes sense, why not? Mm-hmm. So for the pickup analogy, would you say that you put a needle in, then like the cord goes to the spinal cord, and that's our pickup that brings transmission to the brain,
right?
Which creates the sound.
Yes, or it could be something like congestion. You might have congestion in your head that's giving you a headache. Maybe you have allergies. And then you put a needle in a place where it drains any kind of excess out of the head, and all of a sudden your head feels clear. You don't have a foggy brain anymore. You can think clearly. You're not blowing your nose all the time. Your allergies are getting better. As I talk about phlegm, of course. I'm the most psychosomatic person I know. Just talking about something.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it could be a different. It doesn't always do, like what you're talking about is more about pain, doing that. But when it comes to congestion, when it comes to headaches, when it comes to there may be other mechanisms, like in terms of things being blocked. And so again, we're opening things up.
Okay. So the congestion analogy that, I'm going to use this selfishly. I have a congestion here. Like, how does that premise work? If I get a needle here, it opens up some pathway?
It wouldn't even be there. It would be in a place that opens up congestion. So there's something called the triple energizer, which is a certain pathway through the body that deals mostly with heat and fluid. When you think of heat and fluid, what do you think of? Inflammation. So when we are trying to drain the head of that extra congestion, I'm going to be using points along that triple energizer meridian, which is it's just a line that connects all the points together. So I would treat, and then all of a sudden you would feel your head opening up.
Interesting.
Because I'm reducing any kind of inflammation, or like allergies are like almost like an excess reaction to something that's not dangerous. And that's what we're trying to not reduce the ability of the immune system to work. We're trying to make it work better so that you're not reacting to things that are not dangerous. Like pollen is not dangerous. Cat dander is it's not dangerous. But when you have allergies, your body is thinking it is dangerous. So we're trying to get the immune system to work better. And also I happen to specialize in autoimmune diseases, so I'm trying to get the immune system to stop attacking your own body.
Okay. So let's go down that path. Autoimmune, like what is something where you've had good results in helping someone? More than one, but the general gist of the people that I've helped, they're no longer on their medications. They're no longer registering at their rheumatologist that they have any RA factors or any of the things that would, the C-reactive proteins, anything that would say that they have inflammation. They're coming back with negative tests, and then they're no longer having symptoms, so they're back swimming, they're back doing the exercises they love, and they have their energy back. And so that, to me, we're not allowed to say we cured anybody. That's kind of interesting. Yeah. But why not though?
It's legal.
It's a legal thing. You can't say this cured.
You can't say I cured anybody. Yeah.
I feel like no one can.
Yeah.
Not even the big farmers, right?
Yeah. Right. But basically saying that if everything goes away, then isn't that something you would be desiring anyway? So.
Yeah, of course. Like you would want to manage that anyways, right?
Yeah.
So the autoimmune diseases, some that come to my mind, you're talking like RA, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus,
scleroderma.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about psoriatic arthritis?
Yes.
Have you seen
fibromyalgia? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Fibromyalgia is really interesting because it's a little bit beyond autoimmune. It's got so many different components. So then the question, like when I was doing massage for 20 years, I had people who had fibromyalgia and they would feel good each week again, but then they'd come back the same. When I started doing acupuncture, they were getting better and better. And so that to me was, it was just an interesting experience because the frustration of having people come back, yes, I had a good business going, but that's not the goal. The goal is to have people getting better, and then, you get more people to help or something, So with acupuncture, I felt like I was getting the kind of results that I wanted to get.
Do you couple it with any sort of mind practice? Do you tell your clients, hey, you should be focusing on meditation?
Yeah, like I'm also a licensed coach, so a life coach. So what I'll do is I called it acu-coaching. And
that's good.
Yeah,
it's a good brand.
So then it would be like in the intake and the things that I would be saying to people would be based on coaching, like what were their goals, what are their strengths. Sometimes I'm just reminding them, like you've done all these amazing things, and you're being very self-critical, and so sometimes you have to remind yourself of what your strengths are and what the goodness that you can bring to the world, so and have goals and focus on your goals, and also have an approach to your pain, have an approach to what your health choices are that are based on your own motivation. Like if I'm the one motivating you, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, it's not going to work.
It doesn't work.
The mind is everything, right?
Yeah.
We always talk about that, and it's always something to take into effect. Even when I do PT, it's like, how are you going to help someone see the way or really have this positive mindset? But what do you think is the reason that we are traditionally not that way? Like as a whole, like people in general, I would say more fall into the category of being self-critical or not thinking they accomplish things.
This is just a theory.
Okay, let's hear it.
But the theory is that when we were back in caveman days, which to us seems like a long time ago, but in terms of evolution, not so much, that if you made a mistake way back when, it was life-threatening. If you went down the wrong path and that's where the tiger was, or you went down if you ate the wrong herb, all these things. So that not only were you self-critical as a survival skill, but also the people around you were criticizing you for doing something that you shouldn't do because you could die from it. Like now we don't die from most things that we're criticizing ourselves for, that, our hair didn't come out right or something.
Yeah.
Or, like my belly is bigger than I want it to be, or whatever those things are that we're telling ourselves. It's not survival, but I think it came from that because it's so clear that we are so much more likely to critique ourselves. That's why I don't think people are their best selves if they're isolated. Like if you're all alone all the time. And people who are in pain really are all alone all the time for the most part, because if they can't go out anymore or can't socialize with their friends, So I worry for the fact that if it's unrestricted self-criticism and negative self-talk, is that going to contribute also to your health results as well?
That aspect too is probably a downward spiral.
Yes.
If someone's in pain and not seeing people, and then they're self-critical, it's just going to keep going down.
Yeah, that's right.
So would you say the first thing there is to make sure they're getting social interaction?
Yes, definitely to connect. Yeah. And there, I had a chat with a woman the other day, talking about social determinants, and that we should all be looking around at the things that make all of us better people in the world around us, that's really important, like that you have the social supports. And even with AI now, they're talking about, we should really be combating any of the negative worries about AI by banding together as humans and human intelligence and human wisdom, and realize that if we work together, we can have AI be working for us and not against us.
Yeah, I feel like people always think it's doomsday, though. It's normal in us as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you have to think both. Personally, I think it's important to be able to have the capacity to say, this is worst case scenario, this is best case scenario. Because if you're one or the other, it's not good. Even if you're just good, which is great, you can live in a state of bliss. But if you're just that way, and then something comes and hits you off that, then you're more shook, right?
Yeah.
That's my belief.
I mean, I do think that the more we socialize with other people, the more balanced we become. Because if it's just like one or two people that you sort of get along with, or sort of don't, family members, but if you have a broad social input, I think you're going to be more balanced and come up with solutions, because we can't do this stuff alone anymore.
Very true.
So
the social determinant, is that what you said?
Yeah.
What exactly is that?
That would be the food that you're eating, like what's available to you, what does it cost? What are the stressors in your life? So financial, what is, even housing, what are the options for you? So education, what was your schooling like? What are the people around you? How are they being educated? What again, this broad, like trying to create wisdom, not intelligence. Like AI is artificial intelligence. Nobody ever talks about artificial wisdom.
Yeah.
It's just, I think it's impossible.
Why?
Well, because I don't think that's what artificial intelligence is capable of. I think that's what makes us different.
Yeah, I could see that for right now. I think eventually, it's just like us, as we get older, we get more wisdom. Shouldn't it be the same for AI?
No, I don't think so. I think that really is something that the self-reflection that we're able to do, and the way we learn is very different from AI. AI just, if they have silly inputs, they're going to be silly outputs. Garbage in, garbage out with AI. So even if they imitate a wise person, it's not the same as being a wise person. I feel.
Would you think that's because of emotions, though?
I think it's deeper than that. I think it's deeper than that. Like when you think of what intuition is, and being able to connect the emotions and the intelligence and the abstract thinking and possibly some spirituality thrown in there, I think we've got something different than like, let AI process all our data. Let it do what it does best, but keep it out of the idea of wisdom, where we can turn to each other and, teach our kids, teach our communities, what is going to really help all of us. I took care of my husband for 8 years. He had Alzheimer's. And I felt like if the world had been created for people with Alzheimer's, which there are millions of people out there, that a caregiver could have just dropped off the person for a few hours every day, like adult daycare kind of thing, but have it be that the person who has Alzheimer's would be completely suited to that environment if it was created for them. Mm-hmm. Same thing with mental health. Like if somebody has bipolar or schizophrenia, or there are environments, or even autism, there are environments where they would flourish. That's what a social determinant, that's the difference that it would make.
Yeah, I could be on board with that. I mean, there's definitely things that AI is not going to be able to do, but that's why it's a machine and we're human too, though,
Right.
So, and maybe with the advancement of AI, us as humans are going to get more connected because we're going to be, that's going to be our polarization.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's like the database, no emotions.
Yes.
Then we need to like band more up in communities.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly right.
Yes. Because it is true. I mean, if you're in pain, and I've had a lot of clients, and I'm sure you have too, like when they join these support groups online.
Yeah.
And when they join them, it like gives them such a better purpose of things to come, because they're like, oh, there's other people suffering with chronic back pain or fibromyalgia, and they're dealing with it these ways, and it's working.
Right.
So there's like hope for me.
Yes.
So there is an aspect of that, but that also can go into placebo too, no?
Why not?
Yeah.
But placebo's not bad.
Oh, I know. I agree. I agree completely. I think placebo is a lot of, like you said before, you did biopsychosocial.
Yes, that's right.
Is massive. Mm-hmm. So if people don't know what that is, can you define that aspect of it?
Yeah. So it's like I'm a dancer, so it's an interplay between your biology, which is all your physical tissues and your symptoms and your joints and your muscles and everything, and then the psycho is how does your brain process it. So like when my wrist, when I fell, it was like I could have gone into like, oh my God, this is going to be months of rehab, this is terrible, and then thinking of the, and it's probably broken in 15 places or something. Or, which is what I did, which was like, let me see what happens, see what the doctor says, see what happens, and not go there. All I kept thinking is I caught the egg. So that's different. That's really different in terms of the psychology of my injury. Mm-hmm. And then the social is what were the reactions of other people. So if you stay with my wrist, all these loving, wonderful people have been taking care of me for days now, bringing me soup and just being so lovely to me, and even coming here to physical therapy. It's just been a wonderful, warm feeling. So I'm not going to say I'm glad that it happened, but I'm not having that catastrophic mentality. So that's why being alone is what I was talking about before, where you can go down that road where all of a sudden you're thinking worst case scenario. And I'm sure you have too, plenty of clients who basically I'm talking them off the ledge is they're thinking of all the worst things that could happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a big perspective shift, right?
Yes.
So where do you intervene in that aspect? Or where would you say is the best aspect to intervene that gets the best results for someone who might be struggling with some sort of biopsychosocial issues?
Well, it's very individual. I'm actually the support group leader, the co-leader for New York State, Connecticut, and New Jersey for the U.S. Pain Foundation. So the resources that they have on their website and these support groups, like you were saying before, it's so different. Like you see when people come in who have been coming out of that isolation, and sometimes they cry because it's like, this is the first time that people understand me and they're not judging me and things, so it's been a lovely experience. So I would recommend at least getting some resources, but I would probably just ask a lot of questions first. Mm-hmm. And the way I would ask the questions would be to provoke thoughtfulness. So not an agenda, but just to promote that self-reflection that could get good answers out of this person. I've had people say, nobody's ever asked me that before.
Yeah.
when whatever you're asking, because like also, are you connecting several things that happened around the same time to the fact that like your pain got worse right at that time? Is this an accident? That maybe it has something to do with the fact that you got divorced, or somebody, like your kids yelled at you or something. It could be that, your headache maybe had some triggers. So it's to ask questions in a way that they would come to that conclusion.
What's one question you always go to that you're going to ask someone that throws them for a loop?
Well, basically, was anything else going on besides this when it happened?
Okay.
That's the big one.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, that's the big one.
You're diving in. You're kind of trying to carve out what really is there.
Like, tell me more of your story. Now, the stories can be very limited. Stories, what we tell ourselves, can be very limited. So tell me more then. So because you want to get beyond the initial, because people are so certain.
Yeah.
And I try to get them beyond their certainty in a safe way, and maybe not pushing too much, but in a safe way to say, tell me a little more about that. And
do you think the story that they're telling themselves is what they think really happened? When you dive, you can unravel it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, they're totally convinced. Yeah, totally convinced.
Yeah, I mean, talk about conviction. You said something before, it stimulated a thought. I had a client once, and he had back pain, and it was like a herniated disc, which is common.
Yes.
Let's say that, right? And I knew that we can get him better. And I was like, you don't have any pain down the leg. You have no weakness. Mm-hmm. You're going to be fine. But in his head, he already made the decision that he needed to get surgery.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I remember going through sessions, and like we were like a couple weeks in, and I'm like, this guy's going to get surgery. He already convinced himself that he needs surgery to get better.
Wow.
So that, that's all like biopsychosocial, right?
That's
like
right.
you have to, whatever you believe in is going to necessarily come true in that avenue.
Yeah. So then it's a question of how do you get people it's not to say that they're wrong, but how do you get them beyond their beliefs so their stories are bigger and more inclusive? And also in that case, I would say, where'd you get that idea that you need surgery? Like, who told you, and what did you read, and what, so to kind of probe a little bit more. Like, you remember that Dr. Sarno,
Yep.
Mind Over Back Pain, he was big on that, that the stories and the fear can, kind of derail other options. Like, you want to be able to, kind of open the door to other options.
Do you think acupuncture then will deregulate their nervous system enough to be more susceptible to more empowering stories? I mean,
I've seen it. And I think it is because when you think of like this energetic model, so again, back to those, the electrical signals that are being sent to the pickups and the amplifiers and things, the same thing with our bodies, that if you're dealing with electrical signals and you're unblocking probably thought patterns that are locked in, that then slowly but surely you can get people to open up. Like I have a client who, I swear to God, it was like 5 months. You sure this is going to work? You sure this is going to work? This is like 9 years later, and this person is the most devoted.
Yeah.
But for me, it was those first few months of just waiting to see how the thought patterns would change and how the openness would start, and like reminding people, like, you were in so much pain last week, and now you have and look what you're doing. You can do all these things now. We forget, like, when something doesn't hurt anymore, it's like, oh, did I really have that?
Yeah. No, pain definitely pain's bad. If you have acute pain, nothing else really matters. So I could see how people really fall into a pattern of a downward spiral where if you have pain, that's all you can focus on, right? It's really hard to, you need a support system in that sense to really help talk you through that level, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Do you have people, or have you seen people with acute pain, and what are the results there?
Yeah, I mean, usually it's not like right exactly after surgery. Like, you may see them a little bit before I do, or maybe we do, it's a few weeks later and stuff. So I've seen people post-surgery, I've seen people post-injuries and things, but maybe not. Like, I always say to them, wait a bit, because, I did acupuncture on myself the day that the wrist decided to do what it was doing. So I'll treat myself, but other people are, I'll probably wait a little bit,
Gotcha. So you want
see.
their nervous system to calm down before
Just
you
a
do
little
it.
bit, yeah. And, listen, some of that inflammation, you need it for the healing process. Like, I've noticed that people with chronic pain, once in a while, it'll be because they did too many things to suppress the healing process. So, like the steroids and the this and the that, when it's too early in the game, they don't allow, like, some of that swelling is important, and some of that heat is important, and some of that circulation is important. I can understand how people would, like, even if you're, sick just because you got a bug, you want that fever to go away. You want to be able to get back to work, and it just doesn't, it's not the best. Sometimes you just need to succumb for a few days and really sleep and just let it do what it has to do. Our bodies are really intelligent in that way.
That's a really good point. So the Pain Foundation, what's that all about? So
the U.S. Pain Foundation is a place where even practitioners can go, because they have many, over the years, many resources that they've included in their website. Like I did 2 weeks ago, it's called Building Your Own Toolbox, and it's on a Tuesday night. I think it's once a month, and they'll have things that they teach you. So I've done one on Qigong, which is the exercise version of Chinese medicine. And so we kind of went through all the things that you can do during the day for helping your energy flows and things. And then more recently, I did acupressure. And so, you kind of teach people how to put pressure on different acupuncture points and why, so all that's on the site now. You can go there and watch my presentation. You can look at the slides. You can do this stuff yourself. So there's a lot of resources there. And then if you're considering integrative medicine and you don't know what each thing does, they have links to reflexology and hypnotism and all the different things there. And then these support groups are amazing. There's like every state pretty much has either a combination of the states that are nearby, or just, I think California is a standalone. But then they have national meetings, and then they have daily check-in meetings. They're really good at getting people connected to each other.
That's very cool. Is it for anyone with any chronic condition?
Yes,
or any
pain, mostly pain.
So any pain?
Yes. Yeah, any.
And how does someone get funneled into this group, or is this just like, how do people become more aware of this group?
Like what I've been doing has been going to all these meetings. So, if you have the New York State Pain Society, that, and even just letting local practitioners know, and just having them send their patients, because I was speaking to the woman who's now the chairperson of the New York State Pain Society, and she was saying that, the people that I'm talking about helping, which are mostly homebound or bedridden, she's saying they're sometimes at a loss when you only do Western medicine and you have no other things to offer. They don't really know what to do next for their patients. So she was very happy to have the resources of the U.S. Pain Foundation. So they do advocacy too.
Okay.
So I'm working on that, for New York State to have laws that would, have more things covered, have more options for people in chronic pain, so that you would be able to, like things are so expensive, that you'd be able to have coverage for all those things.
That's great.
Yeah.
Would you say chronic pain is an epidemic?
I would say so.
Yeah.
I would say 1 in 5 is chronic pain. And then 1 in 5 of those people is the homebound bedridden. So that's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
That's a lot
and
of
that's
people.
the U.S., you're saying?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So if people want to find out more about that particularly, it's just U.S. Pain Foundation?
.org, yeah.
Okay, great. I mean, I feel like that's a super valuable resource. And what you're doing to try to get, more advocacy for that is pretty cool.
Yeah. Because it would be like, even I don't think people, like I do their functional nutrition. I guess it's a support group, but it's a webinar once a month, and this month we're doing circulation and lymph and how it relates to pain and what foods to eat and all that. So even nutrition can be employed when it comes to pain. lifestyle, we've done sleep, we've done all sorts of the inflammation. We've talked about a lot of things. And again, those are on the website. So.
Yeah. And that goes back to, what did you say before? Social?
Biopsychosocial.
No, but then the one before that, social factors or something?
Social determinants.
There you go. That's what it is.
Social determinants. Yeah.
So for here, helping us at Iron Health, I'm glad to have you. What is going to be your schedule? So if people are interested in trying to get acupuncture.
Yeah, so as soon as the wrist gets better, which is a few more weeks, so probably July, I'm thinking. So I'll be here later in the afternoon on Mondays, so 2:30 to 4:30 on Mondays, and then lunchtime on Wednesdays. And so once those all get booked up, then I'm thinking of opening up the Monday nights. So we'll do that till 8.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts or statements you want to make?
No, I'm really very happy to be, joining the Iron Health family.
Yeah.
And, you basically saved my life. So not just with my wrist, but, the hips and all sorts of things, So you keep me on the dance floor, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, that's our goal. But we're glad to have you. I appreciate it. This was great. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, everyone, if you like that, give us a like, a follow. We're trying to grow the show. Christine is awesome. Come and see her in our Peekskill spot. Thank you.